What is up, everyone? It's that time again. You're listening to It's Been a Week. I'm your host, Ben McDonald, and this is your weekly dose of whatever the hell just happened. All right, everyone, welcome back to It's Been a Week. This week, I'm joined by my new friend, Miss Melissa.
Hello.
Who has been one of AJ's friends for a long time. And you are on a world tour. I mean, pretty much a world tour, or a United States tour for now.
Tour for now, yeah.
So Melissa came over yesterday. We had a dinner. We hosted like 10 people. And I'm going to be honest, I didn't quite know what I was getting into, but it was such a cool experience. So I want to first I want you to explain what you're doing. And then I want you to tell your story of why you're doing it.
Sure. I also have to ask because earlier you had said it wasn't what you expected. So I want to understand what you did expect, and we'll definitely get into
We'll dive into that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me, first of all.
Yeah.
Last night was such a blast, and I will say this whole adventure that I'm on, I sort of have been calling it the Reset Tour.
Mm-hmm.
And where this whole thing started was, I've lived in LA for the last 9 years, and I love LA. There's so many beautiful things about the city, but I've kind of been feeling like maybe I'm nearing the end of my time there. Whether or not after the end of the 6 months I go back to LA, or I decide I have to stay there forever because I really do love it and I miss it. I don't know yet. We're going to find out. But this whole thing kind of started with the feelings of a little bit of unsettledness. I've been working in documentary and commercial production for the last 15 years and media on and off. And so much of what I do as a producer is I execute everybody else's creative. You need something done, I'm the person you call because I get shit done. And I love that. I love being organized. I love sort of executing creative visions and being that person that's sort of the through line that, helps just actually make things happen and bring these beautiful concepts to life. That said, I'm innately a creative person myself, and so much of what I've done is helping other people versus executing my own creative. And so mix that in with the nature of how the film industry has been kind of going to shit in California for the last couple of years. It's been really challenging for a lot of us artists to make anything or hire clients or brands or whatever. And so I've just really been feeling unsettled for some time. Rewind to January of last year. Unless you were living under a rock, you probably saw that 2 neighborhoods in Los Angeles were wiped off the face of the earth because of the wildfires that happened. And that was a really scary and challenging time for the city itself, but for me personally as well. I probably sat on my couch for the first 24, 36 hours and was freaked the F out. I'm hearing about people that I know that are losing their houses. I'm seeing I'm seeing smoke. At one point, the Hollywood Hills blew up on fire, and that was the most terrifying thing I've ever seen because so many of the resources in LA were fully tapped out. You have all these fire agencies that are, trying to put out these massive fires, and so resources were really running thin. And at one point, it really did feel like the entire city was gonna burn. Not a fun thing to experience. I have a newfound respect for people that have gone through this multiple times, but I don't wish that on anybody. So at a certain point, I was I need to pull myself out of this monstrosity of fear that I'm feeling, and I need to get up and I need to do something. And so I marched my butt down to the K-Town YMCA, shout out to Anderson Munger YMCA in LA. And I just showed up to start answering phones and volunteering. There was a ton of people there that were donating stuff, trying to organize things, but it felt a little bit of chaotic while I was there. So I decided the next day I was going to show up and bring my laptop and do what I do best. And that's put structure and organization to things. And so I showed up every day for 3 weeks, alongside an incredible group of probably 6 to 10 of us that were just there every single day. And it was really beautiful to see the city come together, to feel that community, to be able to mourn with a lot of the community, and also kind of celebrate the magic of humanity coming together to really support one another through all of that. And that really helped shape the lens through which I looked at the rest of last year. People, relationships, all of those things have always been really important to me, and pouring into other people and allowing other people to pour into me. And so, that was January. flash forward a couple of months, early summer, I'm like really feeling like, okay, I have got to get out of LA at least for a little bit.
Right.
So I had this idea. I was like, why don't I send an email to like friends and family and just see if anybody's willing to like host me for a week or two so I can get out of the city, have a little bit of a creative reset. I've been wanting to like write books for a really long time. And this was kind of what I saw as maybe an opportunity for me to sort of get out of my comfort zone. My house is very comfortable. You walk in the door and I'm like, I want you to feel cozy. I want you to feel welcome. I want you to melt into my couch and like let me shower you with some love and TLC. But it's really comfortable and nothing great happens in your comfort zone.
That's true.
So I was like, okay, like, why don't I try and make myself a little uncomfortable on purpose? So I sent this email and like put out an ask. And that ask was so uncomfortable for me because I'm like little Miss Independent to the extreme. Don't like to ask for help. I'm like, I got it. I can figure this out. I don't need anybody. I can do this. So it was really weird to me to be like, can somebody help me? You know, anybody want to like take care of me for a week? But the response was so overwhelming in the most beautiful way. I was like hearing from people that I hadn't talked to in a really long time, people that were reaching out being like, oh my gosh, I've always wanted to do something like this, or we'd love to host you. Please come hang out. Like, we'd love to have you here. Or I have a cabin somewhere. I don't know. I can't host you, but I know somebody who can. And so this like snowball started to happen. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is the most beautiful thing ever. Then in October, so a few months later, I took myself on a silent retreat up at Spirit Rock, which is in Marin County. It's this beautiful, like, mindful resort. Or I guess it's not really a resort, but it's like this beautiful little sanctuary tucked in the mountains. And I had previously spent the last 2 years getting certified to teach mindfulness and meditation. And so this was kind of just like a chance for me to sit and be silent and just like give myself that time. And while I was there, some things kind of started to emerge for me. I started thinking about all these conversations that I had had with people, whether they be via email or on the phone, about my email that I had sent earlier in the summer. And all these through lines kind of started to pop up. People are lonely. They're struggling to connect, and they're having a hard time building meaningful community. And a lot of the conversations were resonant of me and like the journey that I've been on over the last 6 years. And so I thought, why not limit myself to just like a few weeks? Why not actually go visit all of these people, take 3 months, 6 months, and go visit and have conversations about this? But instead of having it just be one-on-one, why don't I invite everybody to host like a potluck dinner in each of these locations? People can bring a dish that's meaningful to them. They can share why that dish is meaningful to them. And we can have a conversation collectively. Like, what does it mean to be in community right now, given all of this that's, that we're living through?
Right.
And so people were like, that's a really cool idea. I'd love to do that. And so that's kind of how this whole thing started to come together. And the next thing I know, I'm like 6 months deep into like lining up places to visit and stuff. And some of this is like building while I'm flying. But for the most part, like, I'm connecting with new people. I am reconnecting with people that I haven't seen for a really long time. I heard from my junior year English high school teacher.
Wow.
Mr. Rubenstein. And he was very special to me because that was like my favorite class in high school. And yeah,
I'm still close with one of my high school teachers.
Are you?
Yeah. She's actually coming out to visit here in like a month.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Miss Ramin, my 9th grade science teacher.
Wait, another R.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. She was my science teacher, and she was the best. She was like the only teacher that like understood me, and that I was not the typical like student. I was like, no. So yeah,
those teachers are so special.
Yeah. So you're driving around the country.
Oh yeah, I'm driving.
You're driving with your cat.
With my cat.
And so you're literally going into people's homes where maybe one or two of them, and then you're meeting all these new people for the first time.
Yeah.
I think community too right now is so important because, well, first of all, the world is so divided and it's so, fucked up on different levels. But also, I've spoke about this too before, like social media. It's such, yes, we're quote unquote connected, but we're not really connected. You know what I mean? Like, we know I've said it's a highlight reel. We see the best that everyone's doing.
Yeah.
but you're not really connecting with these people. You're just
You have these like parasocial relationships with people.
and it's like, what, like I can tell you what XYZ and what they're up to and what they've been doing, but I haven't spoke to this person in 5 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like you feel kind of connected and like, oh, we're still friends. They're off doing this, but like you don't speak to them.
There's like no interpersonal connection there.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think it's really cool. So you came to our house and we've gathered, what was it, like 10 people last night? And I guess when I said I didn't know what to expect, I mean, I really didn't know what to expect. And part of me thought it was going to be like a sales pitch.
Oh God.
Yeah.
That's like, I hate sales.
But I thought it would be more like, we're doing this, like you were trying to sell something, you know what I mean? Like you would want us to
yes,
to come
essential oils,
right? Exactly. No, literally like that. I thought it'd be like at the end, and we found this through these oils, and for a small monthly membership, and if you find 3 people, yours is free. And I kind of like I was like, what are we doing? Because like
starting the next pyramid scheme,
literally, and then but it was not that at all. It was so. I mean, obviously, I had a few cocktails, but everyone like was so open.
Yeah.
And usually we have parties at our house, they're much more like blasting music, dancing on tables, getting drunk and being stupid. But this was like, people, there were tears last night. There was like, people were getting really like open and vulnerable. And like not all those people that were there last night knew each other or knew each other very well. Yes, they may have met at our house through a party or they've seen each other or whatever, but they're not like, this was not a group of best friends that is like.
And that's kind of by design. Like the whole methodology for me behind these dinners is like when I talk to whoever's hosting, which last night it was AJ, there's sort of like 2 routes we can go. One is like I'm calling it the comfort route, and that's just inviting friends and family. And then there's what I call the challenge route. And the challenge route is you don't have to invite people that all know each other. You can also invite somebody that you don't know very well. So there could be like somebody that you work with in your office that you're like, oh, I sit near this person and we pass each other at the water cooler and we like, say hey, but there's no actual connection. So like using these as an opportunity also to get to know other people on a different level.
Yeah. And I think too, like last night, there was people there with lots of different views and opinions. But also
we are in Granbury after.
We are in Texas. We are in Granbury. But also I think that, there's keyboard warriors, right? And the world feels so divided. So when you're online, fuck you, fuck that, you're that, but then when we actually all come together and we're in person talking, there was no disrespect last night. There was no hate. There was no, you're right, I'm wrong. And there were people with different opinions sitting at that table.
Yeah.
And I think that if everyone does come together and actually, I think people are actually more in the middle and are more alike than we want to believe, but the world, the media, everything has us feeling so divided. So it was an interesting concept because it's even like dating, right? I mean, I haven't had to go on a date in a long time because I've been with AJ, but people don't go out to the bar or go out to a place and find someone to meet.
Yeah. People
are swiping on apps. People don't even, know how to go make those connections anymore.
Totally.
To walk up to someone and say, hey, can I take you to dinner? Now it's like, send them a DM or swipe on this thing. So I think a lot of it is, community, but also connection.
Yeah. And I mean, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head for me. You said alike. And that's sort of like my thesis in all of this is I think we're all so much more alike than we are different because we have technology, because we are in the information age where we are like connected 24/7. We're constantly being bombarded and over inundated with a lot of negativity. There's also a lot of beauty in what has been provided to us because of technology. But I think we have really lost a lot of the interpersonal connection and ability from just existing in the world that we do right now. And so for me, it's like I look at the table sort of as the great equalizer. Because you're human, you've got to eat. You need connection, you need love, you need shelter. There's all these like basic needs, but I see the table as being this opportunity to like actually bring people together and just like break bread, as like
literally
old school as that sounds.
Yeah.
But like I grew up with my grandparents were very heavily involved in raising me. And some of my most magical memories as a child are sitting around their dinner table with either just our immediate family or like my grandmother has a huge side of that family. And so like cousins would constantly be over. Her cousins are her besties, like getting to see the older generation interact with each other and how the table time was really sacred, like, and it lasted for hours. So even after we'd eat, the table would get cleared and then the cards would be pulled out or the Farkle, which is like our family's
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
latest obsession, or dominoes or whatever it is. And like then the conversation happens and I get to hear these stories of what it was like for them to grow up. And it was less about really what we were talking about and more about just like being people together. And I think we don't get to do that as enough anymore, you know?
Well, like I said, because instead of hanging out, making an effort to go see someone, oh, I saw them. And so you feel connected because you feel like you know what they're doing, or you can just send them a meme and then you're like, oh, they're a connection. You know what I mean?
Right,
It's just,
exactly.
back in the, even when like we were younger, it'd be like, you'd call your friends, do you want to hang out? Whereas now, I don't even think kids do that. They're like sitting on TikTok and they're sending memes to each other and their videos. And then they're like,
or like I'll call my little brother sometimes, and he's a big gamer. He loves to play games, but he's having conversations with the people in his headset that he's playing games with, and then he has his phone set up FaceTiming, so it's like looking at him, and maybe it's like via IG, and there's like a group FaceTime going on. So like he's hanging out with people, but they're not physically together. Yeah.
And even last night, we had it from, I'm in my 30s. We had AJ's parents in their 70s. Like there was all these different generations. There was people from big cities like us. There's people that that came from the middle of Texas.
Yeah.
There was people from
transplants.
There was AJ's parents who, where Massachusetts was too much or too big. So they went to New Hampshire to get to be, so like, and then there's people like AJ, me and you. It's like we've lived in LA and New York and San Francisco and like, so there's just people from all different walks of life.
Yeah.
And it just was really interesting, I think, when everyone actually comes together and actually starts communicating.
Yeah. I did my very first, so this was technically my third dinner, my second on the road. My first was in LA. And the LA dinner was really cool because I brought together 6 people. There was one couple. Everybody else was meeting for the first time, and I was the only person that everybody knew. So that was a bit of an experiment for me because I wanted to sort of push the limits to see what would happen if I did that. And it truly turned out to be like one of the most beautiful experiences. We had like 3 people connect that at one point they all lived in New York, and so they all realized they had crossover while they were there. So they're like ping-ponging off of like all these different fun memories for themselves. Then we had one woman share sort of more intimately like what she was going through and struggling with, and it was so beautiful to sort of see multiple people around the table lift her up and be like, oh, I've been there, this is how I worked through that, like maybe this can help you, and kind of just like offer that communal response of care. It's like community care. It happened so naturally.
Right.
So naturally.
Even last night, one of the guests was sharing how hasn't been able to connect with this friend because the friend is going through all this stuff, but she still shows up with sending her Wordle every day, and then the girl next to her all of a sudden is crying and is like, I wish I had basically, I wish I was that person. I wish I had someone to send the Wordle to me, like it was very interesting.
Yeah.
Just because like, and even politics aside, in LA, you have a lot of similar minded people in one area.
Yeah.
In general, like here in Texas, or at least, this group, it's very all over the place.
Yeah.
And very, like I said, very divided. Because like LA, 99% of people are transplants and they move there and they're trying to achieve a dream. Or it's like there's this melting pot of entertainment. Here, it's like there's people here that have zero desire to be in entertainment, and there's people here that are extremely strong in their, religious beliefs or political beliefs or whatever it may be. And yeah, I think you're really onto something of bringing people together.
Thanks.
And for me, like I always say, my what is the love language is definitely quality time. Like I hate gifts unless
I like receiving gifts.
Yeah, I don't.
Just kidding.
I mean, unless it's like from my mom or it's like, or AJ and it's, whatever. But in general, when people bring me gifts, I hate it.
Really?
Yes, it makes me uncomfortable because I'm always like, did I get you something? Did you get me something? Oh, yours was more expensive than this. And it's like, or people give me shit that I don't want.
Receiving is kind of uncomfortable sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's like, or they give me shit that I'm like, fuck, now I got to throw this away when you leave. I'm like, I don't need your
I
junk.
think we've all done that before.
Yes. Or I'm like, I don't know. I do not like receiving physical gifts. I would much rather be like for people's birthday, my birthday, I'm always like, let's go do something. Let's go to a movie.
I love having an experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would let's go on a trip. Let's go do something. Let's go jump out of an airplane. I don't know. Let's go do something. So like last night, being there with all these people and just having time, just like, again, I didn't know where like these conversations were going to go, but just sitting there hanging out, having a cocktail and hanging out and chatting, like that was the best.
Yeah. It's fun because like I opened the dinner by like obviously sharing how we got here and like why we're here. And then I posed one question, and last night's question was like, what does community look like in your life right now? And everybody had a different response. And it was really cool to kind of go around the table and sort of hear the diversity of all of that. But then yes, I had my list of questions, but like we naturally started to answer those as the conversation sort of naturally unfolds. And for me, it's less about like dictating how the conversation goes and more so just like letting it flow and sort of creating the space for people to kind of be able to connect and see each other's humanity and be like reminded that we really are alike. Like, oh, you've had that experience, so have I, or this worked for you, I'm going to try that,
Yeah, and what did we say? You said something last night because with the people, some people were talking about how they've dealt with like embarrassment, or I think a lot of it comes down to self-love and all different things. But I was like, fake it till you make it. Like that's what I used to tell myself. Like, because there was a period in my life when I did not like myself. People look at me now and they're like, you're narcissistic and all you do is care about yourself. But there was a time when I didn't love myself at all, and I was trying to be someone different or all these different things. And then I would wake up and like fake it till you make it. And I was like, no, I love myself. This is gonna be great. And then eventually, now I look in the mirror and I'm like, fuck, I am great. Like I'm hilarious. I'm fun. I'm like, this is great. But what did you say last night? Instead of saying fake it till you make it, you rephrased it.
I said, practice it till you become it.
Which I think is better.
I mean, they're both wonderful, right? Like I love fake it till you make it is like something that we've heard for such a long time. But I think I try to be really intentional just overall in my life, but also with my language. And when I'm talking to myself and I'm thinking fake it, to me, I still feel like there's a little bit of a negative connotation to that, or there's like imposter syndrome is still very much alive in that for me.
Right.
And I would rather try and create like an internal world where I can foster kindness and like self-love, a self-compassion for myself of like, no, you're not an imposter. Like you deserve to be here. It's just we have to practice this before we can fully embody it.
Right.
And it's going to take time. But yeah, like I forget how we got onto it last night, but like the whole self-love conversation came up. And I think so much of what we see in the world right now is like, oh, self-love looks like taking yourself out to the spa, doing a face mask, or like pampering yourself in some way, instead of really focusing on like the internal work that helps actually cultivate that self-love and self-compassion. And so through my mindfulness certification, self-compassion kind of became this thing that I like latched onto because it was so fucking transformational for me. Like I grew up in a home where there was a lot of negativity. I grew up with an emotionally immature parent who I felt like I was constantly kind of walking on eggshells around because you just never really knew what was going to set off the bomb. And so there's a lot of there's a lack of safety in that for me because I needed to keep myself small to make sure that I was appeasing somebody else. And so I never really fully got to learn things like emotional regulation. Like I would get stuck in a bad mood for several days and not have any resources or tools to figure out how to break myself out of that. It wasn't until I was in my adult life where I was able to actually unpack that and figure out like, oh, an emotion actually only lasts 90 seconds, which I was like, excuse me, like what the fuck? Like I've been sitting in my negative stew for like several days. When really, if I had just allowed myself to show up for whatever I was feeling for 90 seconds, that shit would have passed. Are you kidding me? Like, come on. I wish I would have known that sooner.
Right.
But like, I'm glad that I finally eventually learned that. And so the more that I had rooted myself in emotional regulation and like learned what that meant, the more space I was able to show for myself. And the more I was able to actually shift the negative voice in my head to one that's like, really kind. I'm my best cheerleader. I know how to put myself up. I like catch myself sometimes at home where like I'll make a mistake. Like there have been 2 instances where I've like dropped a plate or dropped a glass and it like shattered and I was like, you silly goose. Like, oh well, that happens. But I'm like, oh my God, if somebody heard me say that out loud in my house, they'd be like, she just called herself a silly goose.
Like she's crazy.
She's crazy. But like, it was this shift for me of moving from focusing on everything negative to shifting towards like, oh, I'm human. I'm gonna make a mistake. That's all right. I'm learning from it. I'm growing through it. We're good. Like we're moving forward and kind of just like shifting to something that was like a little bit more soft
Right.
for myself.
Well, I think too, it's cheesy or it's cliche, but like happiness is a choice.
Yeah.
And you have to pick to be like, it's so easy to sit there and be like negative. And look, I love to like complain and bitch and moan and like make a joke of things, but there's humor in that. And I don't actually sit in this negative, but some people do.
Yeah.
And I do think even to the self-love thing, a lot of that for me, it's not going to the spa or going to pamper yourself, which I love doing, but it's being able to sit with yourself alone and in the silence and
that's scary for people.
Yeah.
Like it's really uncomfortable. The more you increase your awareness of what's happening up here, oftentimes you don't always like what you find.
Right.
And it's really hard to grapple with that sometimes because we have to learn what's happening and then unlearn that behavior and relearn something that's more positive,
I love alone time. I love bedtime. It's my favorite.
I mean, I think we both I grew up as an only child till I was 17. So I'm like, I need some space.
You got your independent.
I need my space.
Yes.
Yeah.
I also, with the fake it till you make it, like, I think it was like, not to be fake, because I get what you're saying. It's not when you say fake it, it makes you sound like you're being, not genuine and fake. I always thought of it as like manifesting it, right? Like, being an actor. I was like, I picture myself I'm going to be on billboards. I'm going to make that happen. Like fake it till you make it, as in like speak it into existence, talk like it's already happening. And a lot of things in life that I've done that with have come true and have happened. I'm like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And I'm going to make a podcast or whatever. And then you just like, I mean, I was telling people I'm doing a podcast. I had no fucking clue what I was doing. And I didn't even know how I was going to do it. But I was like, whatever, I'm going to do it. And then it happens, right? Like, so, but I like how you said, practice it until you become it. Yeah. So for this tour, like, are you going to, like you said, you have a set of questions. Are you going to ask the same questions at every dinner, or is that going to evolve and change, or like?
I think it's kind of evolving. I think I'm really good at reading a room and sort of seeing the energy of like, what is even happening here, and like who are the people that you can tell are really uncomfortable. And like one of my main goals is like, as soon as we sit down, I introduce who I am, why we're here, and then I actually go around the table, which last night we did it backwards, but that's fine because we just kind of jumped in.
Yeah.
But I go around the table and allow everybody to sort of introduce themselves. I ask your name, your age, how you know the host, and what dish you brought. And that gives everybody a chance to speak and sort of like arrive at the table. It's kind of like a mindful it's a subtle mindful like choice to do that.
Right.
And that kind of gives everybody an opportunity to use their voice. And then we sort of start the conversation by talking about like, well, what does community look like for you right now? And naturally, I kind of just like watch the conversation unfold. And then, it's okay to sit in silence. There were a couple moments where we just really like allowed ourselves to sit and like be. I'm not trying to rush things, because I think also when we're rushing the conversation, we're sort of skipping over like the
details,
the embodied experience that you're actually having at this table. So I
could have kept, I mean, our dinner was long last night.
It was the longest one we've had. It was like 3.5, almost 4 hours.
But I could have kept going. Like, I mean, obviously it naturally like ended because it was like the food was done. It was wrapping up. But I could have sat there and kept talking. Like it was engaging and it was fun, and it was like,
I don't think we give ourselves enough opportunity to do that,
Well, we're always too in a rush, like, what's next? It's like to just sit there and not know what's next, or how long we're going to be here, or what the fuck we're even going to talk about. It just was like, we're just going with the flow.
Well, and I think with social media and like Pinterest, right? There's like this idea of like, oh, I'm inviting people over. My house has to be perfect, and like the dish has to be perfect, and the table has to be like beautifully decorated and all these things, because it has to be like, Instagrammable or whatever.
Right.
And like, the reason why I chose potluck approach to this was specifically because I wanted to democratize the amount of effort that people think it takes to actually gather and get together and like have these conversations where you really actually feel like you can be seen and have intimate conversations. Like I love the idea that, oh, I just have to make one dish and then there's everybody else is bringing a dish and we get to try all these like other wonderful foods, and it kind of takes the onus and the pressure off of whoever's hosting. So like, you can do this. I want to show you how easy it is to actually gather with people, because I
Right.
think we've tried, especially like, I don't know, like production mentality is like everything has to be beautiful, it has to be such a production, it has to be orchestrated and whatever. And it's like, no, it doesn't. It really doesn't have to be this picture perfect highlight reel.
Right.
It can be messy,
Mm-hmm.
and it's okay to be messy.
Yeah. I mean, it was stressing me out yesterday because with Chinese New Year, we're not allowed to like sweep and clean and take the trash out and do these things. And I was like, I have all these people coming to my house. Like I needed to be, because I am a clean freak.
I
But-
also apparently wore the wrong color yesterday.
Yeah, you wore the wrong
Like-
color. I mean, there were so many. I actually have to talk about the Chinese New Year at some point because there were so many rules that I'm like, whoa. Okay, so what is your goal with this? Like, where do you see this going? Like, obviously, you're planning the next 6 months. You're getting out of LA. You're doing all this, but like, why?
I needed to get out of my comfort zone, and I feel like I just like needed to live a little life. So like selfishly, it's kind of for me, but I think ultimately I want to create a book because I want to be writing about what unfolds over the next 6 months, because I really feel like the person that left LA and the person that comes back is going to be a different person.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to like capture that for myself. But I also feel like I've already seen moments throughout the last like 2.5 weeks of being on the road that are so relatable for other people because they've told me like how relatable it is. And I want to share that with people. If it gives an opportunity for people to read something that I write and they're like, they can see themselves in that. Like, I just want to love on people. And this feels like the perfect way to be able to do that because I'm bringing all my favorite things together. But I am audio recording these dinners. So that's like, there's an element there for me to, initially I was like, well, it'll give me the chance to go back and kind of relive those conversations and sort of pull out the golden nuggets of what people say. But there could be a possibility for a podcast too.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm kind of toying with a couple different things. I might make a short film. I've been doing some like self-reflection videos and stuff like that and kind of capturing content along the way, but I'm doing all this by myself right now. And, I've been super burnt out in the past. And It took me a really long time to kind of heal from over a decade worth of burnout that I didn't even realize is kind of where I was. And so I don't want to overwhelm myself. I want to give myself sort of space to be and to experience and to be as present as possible. So yeah, I'm kind of like, we're 2 weeks into this thing. I'm kind of like trying to figure it out as I go and giving myself some grace as I do that.
That's amazing. And how many more stops do you have?
I should probably look at my spreadsheet and like actually count how many I have organized so far, but there's a lot. Like over the course of 6 months, like I'm imagining we're going to have over 20 dinners.
And you're not going back to LA in between this. Like you are on the road.
That's my intention, yes.
Yeah.
I did just get an offer to do a shoot in San Francisco, but it happens to actually fall in a week that I didn't have anything.
So you could just
booked.
fly.
So I think I'm going to like fly there and fly right back, but probably drop my car off at, I'm staying with my cousins in Tennessee. And so I think I'm going to like race from Tulsa to Tennessee, drop my car, fly over, fly back, and kind of like pick up where I left off. So
that'll be good.
Yeah, so it'll be fine.
And then traveling around, and then so like if you go to these places like last night, because you're meeting all these new people, what if someone's like, I want to do a dinner, can we do one next week? Like, are you flexible that you can add in more dinners, or like is it set in stone, like it's done?
No, it's not set in stone. I mean, I think this is also part of my journey as I go through this, is like as a producer, I'm like, I thought before I left everything had to be like set in stone, so I knew exactly where I was going to be and when I was going to be there, and like not having some of those things figured out was like causing me like anxiety that I had to be like, Melissa, reel it in. It's going to happen. Everything's going to work out like exactly the way it's supposed to. So yeah, there are definitely weeks that are like set and have been scheduled with people, but then there's a lot of flexibility in that too. So like I here in Texas have like 3 dinners, which is really exciting.
Yeah.
And there's a possibility that we might be adding another one, which is really cool. So, I definitely have flexibility. If somebody is interested in hosting a dinner, I would love to talk to them, because
anywhere in the United States, like
anywhere in the U.S.
Yeah.
I'm focusing on the U.S. right now. When I sent that email, I actually had like 3 international offers, which was like,
well, I think that could almost be like part 2 or season 2. Like you do,
totally.
You do this, like you're on your U.S. tour, and then you'll do your like European tour or Australian or whatever tour you want to do next.
I initially thought maybe I would bounce and do like both, but I'm very like maybe sometimes like too plugged into the news and like what's happening in the world and stuff, and very much driven by justice with a journalism background. And I feel like we're in such a unique moment in the U.S. right now that being able to capture the next 6 months of this time
Mhm.
kind of
It'll be interesting how things are going to
it'll
unfold.
be really interesting.
Yeah. And I think it's better. I mean, I always think it's better to go with a little bit of, be a little spontaneous and not have everything so, even with this like podcast, when I first started it, I was so like, I had an outline, I had a plan, I had to make sure I get all these questions, and it was so structured, and it felt to me just like rigid.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's kind of similar. Like I start with a question in the beginning. Usually it's how's your week been? But since we were talking about last night, we skipped over that. But usually it's that, and it just kind of the conversations just snowball, and then they just organically happen, and it's always better.
It's that.
Yeah.
But it has been a week.
It has been a week. Well, I think it's time to do breaking point.
All right.
So this is the part of the episode where we can bitch, rant, complain, and we just get it off our chest for whatever has been bothering us this week. And my breaking point is people not responding to emails.
Oof.
I hate it. I hate to be ignored. I hate people don't respond to texts or emails, but I have sent out a ton of emails, and I'm like, you get your emails. Emails go through, or I'm also, the other part of my breaking point is if my emails go to spam. That is the most annoying thing. Like, I am not a scam artist. I am not like out here doing anything wrong. Why do my emails go to people's spam bot? Which I don't know if that's an excuse because they didn't respond or if it actually did.
But also you don't have control of when they do go to spam. So you're like, you don't actually know what's happening.
Right. What am I supposed to do? Text them? Hey, did you get my email?
I will admit though, there have definitely been times where I've like kind of ignored an email and been like, oh, I'm so sorry.
I didn't see that.
My spam folder,
For my photography business, it goes through a program through my website, and it will tell me if someone's seen the email.
Oh shit.
So I'm like, because people will do that. They're like, oh, this was in my spam. I go, well, you actually read it at Thursday at 2:31 p.m.
Yeah.
So no, it didn't. But my breaking point is people not responding to emails. I don't think anyone is too busy to not respond. I'm not saying I need a response within 30 seconds, even the same day. But like at some point, fucking respond.
Please get back to me.
Yes. That's my breaking point.
Very fair. That's very fair.
Yeah.
Okay, my breaking point this last week was, so I am obviously on the road and I'm driving. So I've got like days where I'm in the car for anywhere from like 4 to 6 hours. I drove from Las Cruces, New Mexico up to Santa Fe, and I was like so excited. I went Tucson to Las Cruces and then out to White Sands National Park, which if you have never looked at pictures of this place, it is fucking gorgeous.
Okay.
It's like just cool, beautiful white sand as far as the eye can see, and it's like dunes, and oh my gosh, you can get lost out there because it's like you're in a sea of white. Anyway, had the most beautiful time out there. Get back to the Airbnb that I'm staying in. I was super excited because it was decorated in all things Frida Kahlo. And like as a Mexican woman, like I fucking love that shit.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very cool. I was super excited. Then I get in and I'm like looking around. This place is filthy. The front door looked like it was falling apart. The lockbox code was 1234.
Oh boy. Okay.
Which I was like, oh, safety. I'm a woman traveling by myself. This isn't cool.
Yeah, right.
Neighborhood was sketchy AF. There was an area of the floor where this place was pet friendly, which I needed because I've brought Griffith, my cat, on the road.
Mm-hmm.
And there was an area of the floor in the dining room that was like could be gorgeous hardwood floors because they were original. It was like straight up corroding because of the amount of dog urine that had been in that corner.
Ew.
So like Griff could not settle down. He was like, there's too many smells. He was freaking out. I was like feeling a little yucky because, cleanliness when you're staying in an Airbnb, like you're kind of paying for that. So it was like really gross. Thankfully, the bed sheets were like probably the cleanest thing about this place.
Thank God.
But then I hear gunshots overnight, and I'm thinking, what did I do? Where did I I should have. I should have done a little bit more due diligence on picking a better neighborhood in the area.
Mm-hmm.
But like I slept like shit, Griff slept like shit, and then we left to drive up to Santa Fe the next day. He would not eat his breakfast, which had his like meds in it to help him have a chill car ride. So he was just like, oh my God, screaming in his little backpack the entire time. And I say backpack because he chewed a hole through the enclosure, the really nice enclosure that I had bought for the back seat. And he just like would not calm down the entire ride. We're both exhausted because neither of us slept well. So it was just like a nightmare of a fucking drive all the way up there. So yeah.
Okay, so dirty Airbnbs and traveling, road tripping with a cat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would be my breaking point too.
Yeah. He's
What-
getting better though.
Was there reviews for the Airbnb?
They were fine. Which is why I was like, oh great, this like seems like a nice place.
I wonder if they can buy fake reviews.
I mean, I don't know. On Airbnb, I'm not sure.
I'm not sure how that works.
I'm not sure.
Oh, well, hopefully moving forward, you have better stays and better Airbnbs, and hopefully the cat adjusts to his new jet set lifestyle.
Amen.
Well, thank you for coming on. It's been a week.
Yeah.
I'm going to link all of your information in the show notes so people want to get in touch with you. If they want to book a dinner, if they want to just connect, I will connect all that.
Thank you.
And for everyone else, I will see you next Tuesday.